Evan's Journey to Life. The Secret Excuse of Energy, Day 33. As mentioned in the previous post, we're going to have a look at blame and its relationship to spite, how we've used blame to deliberately not see the evidence ourselves as spite has manifested as the consequence in and as substance and the physical body and this physical existence as a whole as ourselves. Though before we get to blame, we have to understand the construct of blame as the origins of ourselves as excuse and justification. Thus, in this post, we're having a look at how we've manifested ourselves as energy, as deliberately excusing and justifying the existence of ourselves as energy within, and as the nature and action of deliberate spite, as we've walked within the previous post. From here, the starting point of blame and the deliberate nature and action of ourselves as blame will be seen, realized, and understood. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to, in my beingness starting point, as energy, as spite, as the nature and action of my who, what, and how I am, as deliberate manipulation, abuse, and misuse of substance through and as the friction and conflict within which I consume substance to transform into energy for only me, my want, as possession of and as energy, that I have within this process created blame to protect my possession and possessing of and as energy, and defend the ways and means and methods I take this possession of and as energy, as the deliberate friction and conflict I manifest to and towards substance, to consume as transform into and as energy. Thus, created blame to protect and defend me as deliberate spite, spiting the evidence of the deliberate manipulation, abuse, and misuse I am manifesting in and as my relationship as energy to and towards substance for me as energy to possess me and only me, to get and have my want as energy. I forgive myself that I have accepted and allowed myself to create blame as me within and as the starting point of excusing and justifying why I am accepting and allowing myself to continue within and as my nature and action of spite as excuse. Excusing substance and life from and of authority as energy, consumes substance and establish itself as authority over and of substance and life, through and as the deliberate act of friction and conflict, as the manipulation, abuse, and misuse of life and substance, to serve only the interest and want of and as energy for the accumulation and possession of energy for it to survive. Justifying, in and as the excusing substance and life from authority, with me as energy taking control and possession of and as substance and life, to possess me as energy, and so establishing authority through possession, through and as deliberate manipulation, abuse, and misuse of and as substance, in and as deliberate friction and conflict, consuming substance into energy, just, for me to get, have, and possess my energy to survive, where I as energy am just in my actions of manipulation, abuse, and misuse of substance, because it must be done for me as energy to survive. Deifying, ifying myself as energy, and defying, ifying life and substance in the process. Thus, I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to see, realize, and understand that this has been the origin of me as excuse and justification, to excuse and justify my nature and action as energy, as deliberate spite for me as energy to survive, where excuse as the action of excusing substance and life to make way for the authority of and as me as energy, through and as the action and nature of spite, as a deliberate friction and conflict in manifested negative energy experience, as consuming substance into energy, as a deliberate abuse, misuse, and manipulation of and as substance for me as energy to possess myself as energy to survive as energy. Justification as a statement of and as my who, how, and what I am, in and as my nature and action of spite, where I have made my nature and action of spite just, within and as myself as energy, for me as energy to survive, that my nature and action of spite, deifying me as energy authority, and defying life and substance of and as equality and oneness, through and as the deliberate friction and conflict, creating the negative energy experience and consuming substance into energy, as the deliberate abuse, misuse, and manipulation of and as substance, for me as energy to possess myself as energy, is all made just, because I, as energy, have to possess me as energy to survive. Thus, the survival of me as energy within and as the nature and action of spite had been excused and justified in and as my energy authority relationship to and towards substance and life. Therefore, I forgive myself that I haven't accepted and allowed myself to see, realize, and understand that any moment I accept and allow excuses, I must know that I am accepting and allowing myself to, in a moment, deliberately excuse common sense and self-honesty and practical reality of and as substance, as seeing what is and will be best for all within and as that moment, to in that excusing of life, for me as energy authority, to take over and possess me in that moment in order to survive. This action of excuse, which will always be done within and as the starting point of and as friction and conflict, as negative energy experience, as I in that moment stand and take over as possessing me as energy to and towards a moment of what is and will be best for all in and as equality and oneness, and will be met from me as energy in and as friction and conflict to generate the negative energy, literally fighting as generating negative energy experience, which accumulate the neutral and to the positive energy experience awareness for me as energy to win, excusing common sense, what is and will be best for all life, for all as life, and taking position as me as energy authority. At any moment I accept and allow justification, I am deliberately making a part of me, of mind, just as deifying me as energy and defying equality and oneness, what is, would be best for all as life, as I will fight for my survival as energy in and as such a moment, justifying my thoughts, words, and deeds in and as the context of I as energy have to survive, thus my who, how, and what I am of manipulation, abuse, and misuse, as deifying me as energy authority and defying life and substance of and as equality and oneness, is what is and will be best for all, through and as the deliberate act and nature of me as spite is just, because I as energy have to survive at the cost and expense of life. We'll continue in the next post with how from this excuse and justification of our survival as energy, which excuse and justify our action and nature of spite as deliberate manipulation, abuse, and misuse of substance in life, as consuming substance transform into energy through and as deliberate friction and conflict. We'll have a look at where blame originated within and as the nature and action of ourselves as spite, and the justification and excuse as ourselves as energy as spite manifest. I commit myself to, through writing, self-forgiveness, and self-corrective application, identify where, when, how, towards, who, what, and why I accept and allow myself to access the nature and action of me as spite, where I will deliberately not see, realize, common sense, what is, will be best for all as life, as I fight for my survival as energy through and as deliberately generating friction and conflict as negative energy experience, in and as mind, justifying and excusing myself as mind and energy, in that deifying me as energy and deliberately defying life. I commit myself to, through writing, self-forgiveness, and self-corrective application, investigate my backchat and internal conversations that has become my automated justification and excuse system for me as energy to justify and excuse my survival and standing and existence as energy, wherein and as my secret mind backchat and internal conversations, I have automated sentences structured that I access in moments of facing self-honesty, what is, will be best for all, and common sense as the manifestations and forms of life and substance, where I, in and as my backchat and internal conversations, will generate the negative energy experience to and towards a moment, and in myself justify and excuse who, what, and how I am as energy and mind authority to deliberately deify me as energy and defy life and equality and oneness as what is and will be best for all in and as equality and oneness. I commit myself to stop and stop participation in and as the backchat and internal conversations of and as justification and excuse of me as energy and mind and consciousness, as the nature and action of me as spite, as deliberately deifying me as energy authority and defying life and substance of and as equality and oneness as what is and will be best for all, which I do through deliberately generating negative energy experience in my secret mind as I fight for my survival and standing and definition and authority of and as mind and consciousness. This fighting within and as my secret mind as friction and conflict against life, what is and will be best for all, generating negative energy experience, consuming my very physicality as energy consumed substance to transform into energy for its own survival and continued existence. And so, as I stop myself as deliberate nature of and as spite in and as my backchat and internal conversations, of and as my secret mind, I stop me as the deliberate action of spite to and towards my physical body as manipulating, abusing, and misusing physicality for me as energy to survive and exist. I commit myself to, as I stop me as deliberate spite, within justifications and excuses that manifest in and as my secret mind of backchat and internal conversations. I assist and support me to prepare myself to walk the world system of money as me, that I had accepted and allowed to create in my image and likeness as deliberate spite, and excuse and justification, where the world system of money's deliberate action and nature of and as spite as manipulation, abuse, and misuse of physicality, through and as the friction and conflict that manifest in and as this physical existence, as transforming physicality into money, had been justified and excused for it as money to continue existing and surviving, and that I had not in fact stood up within and as this world system of money to stand for change as what is and will be best for all, in and as equality and oneness, the equal money system. Because within and as me, within and as my mind's relationship to the physical, I had not in fact stood up, but accepted and allowed the justification and excuse of me as spite, for me as energy to survive. And so equally as one accepted and allowed the justification and excuse of and as the world system of money as spite, for it as money to survive. I commit myself to stop, stand up, and change me within and as deliberate spite, as justification and excuse of me as energy and mind and consciousness, to stop my constant and continuous fighting against and with life and substance, of and as equality and oneness, as what is and will be best for all, for me as energy to survive, and realize, see, and understand that within and as stopping this fighting for my survival, that life had always been right here, as breath, as physicality, as this physical existence of and as equality and oneness.